else. That I'll, help myself and be a better person.
If the judge grants your application, do you ever plan on having contact with the complainant in this case?
No, sir, never again, no.
Pass the witness.
Any questions?
State has no questions.
All right, I have a few. So I've read the PSI report.
Yes, sir.
In the PSI report, the complainant states that her tires used to be slashed. And she said the only time her tires stopped being slashed was when you were on GPS. All right, court is calling 2023 CR 9780, State of Texas versus Nicholas Escarino. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
State.
Defense?
Joseph Bateson.
All right, everyone, please make sure you whisper. Are you Nicholas Escarino?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea of no contest on February 15th to the offense of repeated violations of court order bond conditions, family violence. According to the plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 4 years in the prison, and the state is opposed to your application. Did you have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Judge.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state?
None from the state.
Defense?
No objections, no factual corrections.
All right, state, do you have any witnesses?
We do not.
Defense, any witnesses?
I plan on calling my client.
All right, you may proceed. Do you wish to call him first?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Nicholas Escarino.
Right.
Mr. Esquino, today we're here for sentencing, and you understand that the judge, there's no guarantee whether you get deferred or probation or prison. It's up entirely to the judge, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Regarding the PSI, we had reviewed that together, correct?
Correct.
You're former military.
Yes.
How many years have you served?
28.
At what field or
Air Force, air transportation.
aside from military service, have you ever worked in law enforcement?
Yes.
What agency position?
Bear County Detention Officer.
You had provided some documents to me. I'm going to show you a few documents. You recognize these documents, which is Defendant's Exhibit 1 through 6. You recognize these documents?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to show the state if they have any objection to them.
State has no objection.
What is, before I introduce them,
Okay.
what is this document here?
Serving in Afghanistan certificate.
Document that I labeled Exhibit 2. What is this?
Certificate of assisting a funeral detail for special forces.
It's Exhibit number 3 I have marked here. What is
This is
this?
a combination medal from the Air Force.
And these other 3 are pictures, 4, 5, and 6. What are these pictures of?
Pictures of Afghanistan and BCSO picture.
I move to introduce these exhibits.
State has no objection.
All right.
And Your Honor, I have a few more documents that have some information that I'd rather not go into the court file for public record.
All right,
If
so
I-
with regards to defense exhibits 1 through 6, would you just like me to review the exhibits and not have them put into evidence so that he can have them back?
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll just review defense exhibits 1 through 6 without objection,
Yes, sir.
but they will not be offered into evidence. And just give me a moment.
Mr. Escarino, you've been on bond since approximately May 11th, 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had GPS unit that entire time?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, has there ever been a GPS violation,
No, sir.
a condition of bond violation?
No,
Have you ever had contact with the complainant in this case since posting bond?
no, sir.
Are you currently in any type of treatment?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the judge what kind of treatment you're in?
Through therapy, psychologist, peer group support through the VA.
And you currently have appointments scheduled upcoming with the VA?
Yes, sir.
Any of these mental health therapy treatment sessions?
Yes, sir.
What are they treatment sessions for?
For PTSD, anxiety and depression.
Your Honor, I have a document I didn't want to put in court file. It's sensitive. Could I show this to you without standing
Have you
objection?
reviewed those?
I'll review them, Judge, and we have no objection to the judge reviewing this.
Sure. Sorry.
Just give me a moment. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Escarino, have you ever deployed overseas?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been deployed into combat zones?
Yes, sir.
Where were your deployments?
June through November 2011, Bagram, Afghanistan.
Are you currently disabled through the military?
Yes, sir.
What's your disability rating?
90.
Are you asking this court to grant your application for deferral or probation?
Yes, sir.
You had acknowledged guilt in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
You knew that there was a protective order and you should not have broken it.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you want to tell this judge?
I'm sorry for the actions that I done and violating the protective order. But I haven't been myself since I got back, so I've been fighting a lot of demons within myself. And the psychologist told me that when I went to see her on March 4th, that I explained to her my situation and what I'm going through and the legal problems. She says there's a lot of PTSD fingerprints all over everything in my life. So I need to seek counseling and therapy for these issues before I can move on to, if I do need somebody else, that I'll, help myself and be a better person.
If the judge grants your application, do you ever plan on having contact with the complainant in this case?
No, sir, never again, no.
Pass the witness.
Any questions?
State has no questions.
All right, I have a few. So I've read the PSI report.
Yes, sir.
In the PSI report, the complainant states that her tires used to be slashed. And she said the only time her tires stopped being slashed was when you were on GPS. So did you slash your tires?
No, ma'am.
And then my other question is, according to this, you were previously married to Reyes, correct?
She's my ex-wife.
All right. And Reyes wanted to end the relationship with you. And you had issues with that. And then now, with regards to the complainant in this case, they wanted to end the relationship with you and you had issues with that. And even when they had a protective order, you still would come around. And from what I'm reading in the PSI report, it says that you knew. In your version of events, it says, he states he knew he was not to contact her in person, email, or text, and to stay 600 feet away from her apartment and where she works. He states he continued to contact her again in April 2023 by sitting in his vehicle watching her. When asked why he had contact with the victim, he states he did not want another failed relationship and wanted to work things out with her. I don't understand what you don't understand when people, how old are you?
55. And
All right, so I don't understand what you don't understand when people say a relationship is over, it's over. And the complainant in this case, do you have any children with her?
no, ma'am.
So what did you not understand when there's a protective order in place?
So,
According to the PSI report, you knew that meant you were not to have contact with her. And even in your version of events, you say you try to get back with her, even though the relationship was ended in January. And then on Valentine's Day, you go to her apartment, you leave chocolates at her door. And then at that point, you know there's a protective order and you're still following her, and she sees it as spying. She says that she lost her job because of you. And it took her a year to get that job back through her union, and for her union fighting for her to get her job back.
That's,
So I don't understand. Explain to me why it appears you don't understand what that protective orders, when they're entered and you're not supposed to have contact with someone.
yes, ma'am.
I want you to explain to me why you think that means that. I know the protective order says I can't have contact with them, but I'm still trying to get back together with them anyway.
Yes, ma'am. Can I explain a little bit?
Yes. Oh, no, that's what I want. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with you.
First of all, my ex-wife, she got pregnant very soon with my daughter, so I stayed with her to work it out and be a family with her. But it didn't work out. Honestly, she didn't like to cook or clean. And she was raised by her grandma, so it's not that she ended it, I ended it because she had an affair. She brought somebody over to our home where I took the kids to Calaveras with her family. She made up a story that she had to work late Saturday. When I got back, I had put digital voice recorders in the home, and lo and behold, I found noises upstairs where she had brought the man over.
Okay, why did you put digital voice recorders in your home?
Because I was trying to find out if she was talking to somebody, because we weren't being intimate no more. That's the only reason. And that's how I ended the divorce. I filed divorce when I found out she committed adultery.
Okay,
And, with this one, with Stephanie, I didn't make her lose her job, ma'am. She was drinking every day. I tried to get her to stop drinking, but she was an alcoholic, and she would constantly call in to work. If you were to ask her, she would show you the reports of her call-ins at work at the post office, and I had nothing to do with her losing her job at that point. But the fact that she's a narcissist and a manipulator. I know you won't believe me at that, but that's the actual truth about her. And I try to make it work with her because I did care about her and I love her, and I wanted to be a
so
figure.
let me ask you this. When did you find out that she was a narcissist and a manipulator? How far into the relationship?
Probably like maybe 6 months, 5, 6 months, but I try to overlook it. I
All right,
didn't
so
understand it.
let me ask you this. So did you know, according to you, that she was a narcissist and a manipulator
Yes, and she liked to sleep
before
with
the, wait a
different
minute, stop. Did you know that she was a narcissist, according to you, and a manipulator before that protective order was in place?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so protective order is in place. You know this person is a narcissist and a manipulator, and you still won't let them go even though they've broken up with you. Explain that to me.
I can just say that I was trying to overlook it, I thought maybe being there for their lover, take care of her and her kids, and be a better person with her, that these things would go away.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
uh, Mr. Escarino, when you were interviewed by a detective regarding this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
In the detective interview room, I had shown you video of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the detective had been asking similar questions that this judge had, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had put your face into a wall, you started to cry, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I believe that Mr. Escarino has women relationship problems. He is very needy, but a detective was asking pretty much similar questions you're asking. And he broke down, he was crying in the interview room. He did admit, he did confess to this case, he took a plea. I think that treatment is necessary for him going forward. He's engaged in treatment, mental health treatment. He has a session on the 25th of this month. He's been doing in-person visits and telephone home visits. He's actively engaged with therapy, Your Honor.
All right, so here's my question. I'm
Yes, ma'am.
looking at your history.
Yes, ma'am.
There was an assault bodily injury married case, and I'm assuming that's related to the person you were married to. Is that correct or no?
No, ma'am. It was a ex-girlfriend of 3 years, Natalie Pacheco.
All right. And Natalie Pacheco. Just one moment. All right, so Natalie Pacheco, that's somebody completely different from the person you were married to, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's a third person. Because you have your wife, you have Natalie, and then you have the person, the current person. All right, so with that person, you were placed on deferred adjudication for assault, a bodily injury married. And it says here that you rejected Veterans Treatment Court.
I didn't reject it, ma'am. What happened was they sent me the first time, I didn't acknowledge the PTSD issues. I wasn't understanding what I was going through. And I had a peace officer's license, so they sent me a second time to admit to it that I had PTSD, but was afraid to lose the license. So I thought because of my mentality, my mental health was gonna have me lose that license. That's why I got denied. I didn't turn it down.
And Your Honor, the license you're referring to, the peace officer, that's when you were actively employed with Berry County Sheriff's Office,
Yes.
correct?
All right, so you were placed on deferred adjudication on that case
Yes, ma'am.
for 18 months, and that's 2012. What did you learn? Because I'm sure it's an assault bodily injury married case. They probably gave you the BIPP course, right?
I don't know what you, I'm sorry.
They gave you something to deal with your anger management.
Briefly, yes, ma'am. It was not VA. I wasn't in the VA yet.
No. When you're on probation for deferred adjudication for an assault family violence case, usually and legally, they have to give you an anger management
Yes,
course.
ma'am. Wow.
So you received an anger management course, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. I believe so.
All right. And then they would have given you counseling for any other issues you had if you would have asked for it. So what did you learn from being on deferred adjudication in that case?
For the deferred education, I just realized the mistake that I made with her, and I wasn't understanding the PTSD issues that I had. I didn't get accepted to the VA till 2016.
Okay.
I
All right. So since you say you didn't get accepted to 2016, then we have a violation of a bond or protective order from 2014. I'm not even considering that whatsoever because it was dismissed for insufficient evidence according to this. Then you have a violation bond or protective order from 2015. That was dismissed. And they say the reason why it was dismissed, according to the PSI report, which everybody agrees and nobody had any objections to, they dismissed it because you were convicted of something else. And then there's an interference with emergency telephone call. And they say that was dismissed because the complainant, whoever that complainant was, decided to waive prosecution.
that was Stephanie. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that was Stephanie. Then we come back, 2014, you were on deferred adjudication out of the 227 District Court for repeated violation court order of bond condition. So I'm sure they gave you classes for that. If you had any PTSD or something else that was going on in your life, they gave you help for that because it shows that you were on deferred adjudication for that.
Yes, ma'am. I attended, my mom took me once I was out. She took me to the classes once a week. It was through a church.
Mhm.
And I believe it was for like, I don't know, it was 30 minutes or an hour session. And it was only for like 6 weeks, 6
Okay.
to 8 weeks, ma'am.
And then we have from 2022, an assault family choking strangulation that was dismissed. It says complainant waived prosecution. And now we're back here for repeated violation of court order, bond, or conditions.
Um,
And I'm trying, and the reason why I'm asking you these questions I'm not just asking them
Yes,
just to
ma'am.
be asking.
Yes, ma'am.
At your age, I'm trying to figure out what is the disconnect that you have when somebody says they don't want you anymore and this relationship is over. It appears from what I'm reading and what's in the police report is that you're like, no, this relationship isn't over. So then they have to get a protective order. And the protective order is supposed to tell you this relationship is over. Don't contact this person. And still, your response to that is like, yeah, I know this is what it says, but I'm bringing candy. I'm going to sit outside your house. I'm trying to figure out what's the disconnect.
It's just like I told you, the PTSD issues, the detachment from my family that through the years when I was growing up. And then I don't have a closeness to my brother and sister since my mom and dad passed away. My kids, they hardly contact me. I try to reach out to them, but they never contact me at all, you know.
Why? Why are they not contacting you?
I don't understand. I don't know, ma'am. They blame me for not being there with them growing up, but I was a good provider. And I had two jobs in my life that I was trying to balance. And then my ex-wife wouldn't let me have the kids on the scheduled weekends I was supposed to have them. So I would call her Wednesday, let her know, hey, I'm gonna pick up the kids. No, you didn't let me know way ahead of time. But I was paying my child support, faithfully. But she would give me a hard time not letting me have the kids on the weekends. So they blame me that I wasn't there all the time.
All right, and then it says in the PSI report that you and your brother live on the same property.
Yes, ma'am. There's 7 acres and he lives in the family house,
Okay,
but he's not gonna be there too much longer. He's gonna go to Castroville.
okay,
But we're not that close,
okay,
honestly.
okay. All right, defense, is there any other questions?
No further questions, Your Honor.
State,
No questions from the state. Judge.
all right, any further witnesses or anything else for the court to review?
No further witnesses, just a brief argument, Your Honor, opposing.
Yes, you may, well, state.
Your Honor, at this point, we feel based on his criminal history, the nature of the offense, and based on his testimony here today, that he's not appropriate for probation. He's made it clear that he is not inclined to adhere to court orders. Obviously, those conditions and probation requirements would be required of him on a probation. Therefore, we're asking for the judge to deny his application of that. Sentence him to a capital.
And defense, what are you requesting?
We're requesting to grant the application, whether that is for deferred or with a felony conviction, straight probation. He has shown that for close to 1 year, since May 5th, 2023, since he was released from the Bexar County Jail, there has not been any violations for pretrial. He has had 2 travel permits. He did not deviate from any travel. There's no GPS violation. He doesn't have a prior felony conviction. He's actively engaged with treatments. He has counselor sessions that he's been doing currently, and he has one in about 2 weeks from now. He admitted that he acknowledged guilt. The interview room with the detective was starkly similar to your questions of him. And he literally put his face into the concrete wall and he cried. He does not want to go to prison. He's former military, former VCSO. He's asking for you to grant community supervision, whether that's deferred or straight probation, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Escarina, I want you to know that the reason why I ask questions
That's right.
is because I'm trying to hopefully get some insight in the person before me. And I'm always trying to figure out what would be appropriate in each case. And these cases are very hard. And I want you to know everybody that I've ever sent to prison as a judge or as a prosecutor, or every client that I've had as a defense attorney who ended up going to prison, I still remember their names and I always wonder how they're doing. I respect the fact that you served in the military. That's a sacrifice. It's not even we're not in the time period where people are drafted. So I know that's something you volunteered to do, and I appreciate that. But part of my issue is you're doing great, right? And you're doing great because you're on GPS. People can't be on GPS for the rest of their life. And I have to weigh like the offense that you've committed. Think about protecting all persons who are involved. These are all things that I think about. And this is not the first time that you've had this charge, and I don't know what I can say to you or stress to you that would make you follow rules. Because when you think about it, protective orders, those are rules. Those are orders for you to stay away from somebody or not to do something. And in your past, you've had that. And this is not the first complainant where you haven't been able to let go. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to order no contact with Stephanie Juarez Palacios. The court will sentence you to 3 years in the prison, and the court will give you credit for any time served. And I'll put in here the for him to be considered for mental health treatment at the prison. I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. We can go off the record. The state was asking for 4 years. I gave you 3. And let me explain to you why I went underneath the cap. Because I do respect your military service, and I do respect the fact that you have been in treatment and trying to get your life together. All right, good luck to you.